Welcome to another episode of my Motortown playthrough. Today it's a bit of a special occasion. For once I'm playing on a server here outside of a racing event. Yeah, this is Hokihoshi server and this is my character that I use on the server. We have seen him in another episode a while ago. I wasn't sure if I was ever going to bring him back, but here we are because I want to do a delivery today, which I would like to show to you guys. And that delivery makes absolutely no sense in single player. It pays awfully, like absolutely abysmally for the amount of work that I'm going to put in. But it's one of those supply chain things that may be useful for other people here. So at the very least, I would like others to be able to get something out of this if I'm not making any good money from it or anything like that. So yeah, we'll get to that in a moment, but first I would like to start by giving you guys a house tour. After all, I got this beautiful property on the server, and I really like how I ended up decorating the entire thing. So I wanted to show that to you sooner or later. So this is the Oasis plot down here in the center of OG. And I had this idea for making a cozy little place and I really like how it turned out. So yeah, we have Oasis lettering up here. I was considering to maybe just write Wonderwall or something like that, but honestly that would have taken way too many props. Even if I shorten it down to only the consonants or whatever. But yeah, as it is here, the main thing doesn't even have anything to do with the front here. The garage is basically there to add a bit of filler and separation between the road and the cozy, more private area. Also, I just replaced one of the lamps and it's kind of shining through the wall. I may have to change that in a moment. But yeah, going to the back, that's really where we get this going. We have party in the front, or no, business in the front, party in the back. To be clear, this is kind of an office down here, so this is still part of potential business side. Just got a little PC setup over here with two screens and potentially the ability to look out front in case anybody is coming by. I didn't have the budget in terms of the props that I can place down here in order to make this into a full office, including a few seats for any visitors. But yeah, I mean, there are standing desks, so there might be standing conversations here. I'm the boss. It's good enough if I get a seat. Everybody else, you come to my place, you get used to standing around. Okay, so much about this. The upper floor really just has a little bed and I mean it's I think it's the largest bed in the game right now, the Christmas one that is. To be clear, I would have liked to go for the Halloween one, but it's not Halloween anymore, so I couldn't get it. Okay, let's quickly grab the lamp here and put it maybe somewhere else. I kinda like it being near the window so you can at least see the shine from there and it looks a bit more lively that way, but maybe it's better off being over here. Eh, not too bad. I can't really put it in the middle of the room. Maybe I need to get another chandelier and that might be the solution. But that's not for today. By the way, putting the lamp from over there to over here, that was the heavy duty delivery. Thank you guys for watching. Nah, we'll get there. But yeah, the main thing for this entire property here is really the outside. We have a fence in the back, we have a little picnic table, we have a lot of lights, a few flower thingies over here, and I think that just makes the whole thing come to life. There are more buildings than I could reasonably decorate well, but I think, yeah, it really gives a nice frame for this being a cozy little private place to come to and chill. I would like to put up a barbecue if we had something like that in game. That would be a nice prop to have. But yeah, also higher prop limit definitely needed for this kind of thing. But yeah, I also try to not make everything too bland, so most of the rooms at least have something in them. This is a nice little TV setup with a couch, a rug, and also the standing lamp here. Trying to justify putting it a bit more into the middle of the room so that the light at least illuminates most of the room, even if half of it is completely empty. We don't mention it and therefore you don't think about it. This room is completely empty, but at least it gives us a nice little access to the balcony. Again, it's all about looking out towards the back, seeing the lake, seeing the nice trees, and just taking in the vibes. Going back in. And coming down to the main building. Down here we have another guest room with another lamp. Not really that noticeable that it's really shining through the thing with another light up here in front. I can't really avoid that too much, so I'm not going to bother with it anymore, I guess. But yeah, down there's also this front part being empty, but yeah, I really ran out of props at some point. We have a nice little bedroom up here. This would actually be what I would consider mine. At least if I'm alone and all of that kind of thing. But more importantly, we have this little balcony up here with a few chairs. And this really was the main deal for me. I want to have something here to signify sit down, chill, and just take in everything. Again, this is more for the outside than the inside. I could completely nail up all the buildings unless you need to go through them to get to a balcony, and I would be totally fine with that. It's really about, yeah, what's the term here? When it comes to all of that, it's not about the size of a property, it's not about the stuff that you have built on it, but it's all location, location, location. So yeah, that's what we have here, a whole lot of location, and I picked this one specifically because of that reason. Anyways, it's time to go somewhere else and do the actual delivery. And no, it's not going to be the chandelier to my property. We are going to do planks to one of the mines. I guess the coal mine would be the best one. So let's take the Atlas 4x2 and the new Olbe trailer. So this is the new small flatbed trailer. Olbe standing for old bed as far as I can tell. And this is going to be hard work. Let's be clear about that. The pay is absolute garbage. And I mean, it's trash. It's not a lot. It doesn't pay like trash or garbage in this game, because that's actually amazing. Now we are going to make far too little money for the effort, but once again, if people go for the mine and they go for it for a longer time and with a lot of people, the mine will eventually run out of resources, and delivering planks and fuel, a lot of people actually like doing the fuel runs. That means that the mine can potentially produce faster, and yeah, therefore it's worth getting some stuff delivered over here. But yeah, we start out using one of the heavy semis because that thing actually is a bit more stable and far more powerful. So getting to the Guangjin entrance, where we now also have a new, driving down the wrong road here. Getting to the Guangjin entrance this way should be much easier. Also added stability due to the wider wheel space. But yeah, first we're gonna load on the planks here. The thing is, I saw the trailer. I wasn't even fully sure if it would be long enough to load two set of planks behind each other. That's actually a thing that works, and yeah, I'm going to go for coal here. So 2 planks, no problem. We can even stack it up to 4. But I thought that would be the end of it, but no, it goes up to 6. 6 times about 10k means 60k for the delivery, and yeah, this is likely going to be an overlong episode, partially because I spent like 7 minutes going through my property over there. But yeah, I expect this one to not be a quick one. This is really borderline the maximum that we can do with the Limousin semi, which we'll get to in a moment. But yeah, I also went through the process of trying to make a nice little delivery for my truck over here. I have a few that are really involved and just really in your face and everything. This one I try to be a bit more subtle. I've seen other people make similar stuff and I always think it looks amazing. But when I try to do one myself, I just cannot really replicate it. I always do too much, and with this one I really had to restrict myself in order to stay in theme. I think it worked out well though. I have to cut back through the dividers here. No way I'm staying behind that stupid taxi there. I've seen so much shit that those traffic cars pulled. I'm not willing to stay behind and find out how much they can screw up right there. If I see one of them in front of me, I'm instinctively going for the overtake. That's just programmed in right now. But yeah. When it comes to the server, by the way, I'm admin, as you can see on the side. Worked out pretty weirdly. I just joined the server one day after seeing that Hoki was playing the game, and I don't know, I kind of felt like it. Felt good at the moment. I like helping out, giving some advice when people have questions or stuff like that. Try to not be overbearing about the whole thing, but yeah, pretty quickly it got me recognition as one of the most knowledgeable people on the server, and from there, at some point I got offered to be admin. So yeah, I'm not doing too much, just trying to not be overreaching or anything. And to be fair, the community is pretty good anyway, so not much reason to interfere with that. Okay, now the text is coming back for me, and Jesus Christ. Like, that's sending a message. Just gonna try and stay away from that guy. But I've also been on doing the stream sessions and all of that. Hoki has actually got a second channel. I think it's called Hoki Hoshi Clips, where you can find the VODs. I'm not talking doing that. It's basically just him doing stuff. I'm just in the background and participating in whatever stuff is going on at the moment, including a fair bit of trolling, but I'm trying to be considerate about the whole thing. And that's something I want to talk about as well today, because it's kind of a fun topic in my opinion. And I know that some of you guys are also watching his stuff, and therefore it's not completely out of left field. You likely have seen some of the stuff that's been going on. And when I say consider it trolling, basically I mean a few things. First up, I want stuff to be not only fun for me, but also for basically my victim in that case. Oh god, oh god, oh god. Speaking of victims, I'm getting victimized by inertia. RIP. And to be clear, from the get-go, I would like to have a nice little discussion about this if anybody wants to chime in on that topic. But let's do everybody a favor and not bring up any negative examples here. Let's stay positive. I don't want this to be a flame war of other people potentially. But yeah, in the end, the thing is, Hoki has a lot of fun on the server, partially due to the interactions with other people here, but also just playing the game itself and all of that kind of stuff. So while I don't think he's against any fun little bits here, I think it really depends on the time and what kind of thing you do. For example, when he joins, there's usually this little warm-up thing where he just does something at his house, maybe checks out a few community things and that kind of thing. And that's a really nice time to have a bit of fun. Like, people have been hanging their trucks to his building, just putting the winch on the wall and yeah, reeling it in. Just to have the trucks hang down there like metal curtains in front of the windows and that kind of stuff. So that's kind of fun. Also at the end, there was this one time where he was basically tapped out and talking about an old magazine, and I thought, can I get his character onto one of the trailers and just put him somewhere else? And that ended up working out perfectly well. I used the Lomax, basically scooped him up, raised the back ramp until he properly landed on the main part of the trailer, and that was it. Off we go to the landfill. But yeah, that's really what I think are good occasions to do this stuff, either at the beginning before we really get going with any plans, or at the end before the roundup, before it winds down and that kind of thing. What I really wouldn't want to do is get in his way when he is really trying to do a job, make money. I mean, in the end, making money in Motortown is pretty easy, but he cannot really put that much time into it. So, yeah. When it comes to making money, I'd rather be helpful than trying to get in the way in any way like that. Gotta be careful about the corners here. Jeez. That was close. So basically, when it comes down to business, when he really wants to get going, once he has a plan for the day, we do that. Maybe a bit of harmless stuff in the middle, like the one time he did the deliveries with, what was it, the Santa presents. I was hiding in his trailer, was waiting for him to notice, and that turned out fine. But I wouldn't be throwing out the stuff out of the back or anything, even though I could. Because that's just kind of shit. Let's be clear about that. I'm also trying to not be too overbearing. After all, it's a Hoki stream and not, my thing. I don't know, I might be a bit too self-conscious about the thing, but I'm not just trying to jump around in the background like, Mommy, I'm on TV. No, who cares? But yeah, so far it seems like that's been fun for everybody, and that's exactly what I want out of it. Because it's not enough if I have fun with it, I could end up trolling him and just, I don't know, throwing his K-Truck in the ocean. That's the popular thing, but it's nice if it works out well for all parties involved. But yeah, we are finally actually using this road for once. Yeah, if you go from Lijo Island to any delivery down at the coal mine, and that's likely either going to be planks or the fuel at this point, then there's actually a good reason to use this road, although honestly, the Atlas doesn't have the biggest fuel tank. So maybe going to the fuel station beforehand would have been a good thing here, but then I would have taken the old medium road, and I kind of wanted to actually use this one for once. After all, it still exists. But hey, if we get further additions, maybe there's going to be another gas station down there. Somewhere around where it turns off for the medium and Quang Jin stuff. I think it would be a good placement there. But yeah, we'll have to see. Okay, gotta be careful. I don't want to throw this thing on its side again. But yeah, in the end, when it comes to the server, it's been really fun so far. Both the stuff that happened on or during the streams, but also just being on here. Overall, it's a fun community. I even got made into admin after a few weeks. Oh, Jesus Christ. Jesus. No, 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 no. Well, never mind. So yeah, theoretically I could do a lot of stuff over here, but community is good. There is no real need to interfere with most of it. Most of the stuff I do is more like bringing up potential problems and speaking to it with other admins, and we'll see what the consensus is on the stuff. I'm trying to feel out the waters here. If general trolling is okay, then even if I don't like it, I won't be kicking people for that, but we already had an instance where people told me afterwards that, yeah, you should have maybe gone for a temp ban on that guy. So next time I know I will. Wasn't anything outrageous. And to be clear, I'm the type of guy I can take it to some degree. Like if you really want to piss me off and I got the admin, you're going to get the boot sooner or later. But if it's just me, I don't mind it too much, even if it can get a bit annoying. But if you do that to anybody else, I'm likely going to be a bit stricter then. But yeah, thankfully on the server, for the most part, people are doing pretty well, are handling things pretty well, and it's just an overall very pleasant community to be around. So yeah, admin doesn't really mean much in this case. I'm not really doing too much here. Easy life, but hey, I'm a regular on the server, and it always helps having somebody on who can handle things if necessary. Oh god. Yeah, this thing is getting jumpy. I don't think I tuned it for off-road. Thankfully there's somebody here to let me refuel. Then again, we are going to say goodbye to the Atlas in a moment. This is really more so that it's prepared for the next use. I may have to repair the chassis, but in the end I don't care too much about that being damaged. A few dents don't really do much here. But yeah, next time I will be using this truck, I don't want to immediately have to go to a fuel station. The thing is, thankfully we now have this little area over here, which also comes with its own parking lot. And I mean, it would be weird if it didn't have one, but this actually allows me to just switch over to another tractor on the fly here. So we are going to extend the landing gear, cut the semi loose, and switch it out for the Limousine. It helps if I'm actually going to the tractor section instead of the trailer one. I don't need two trailers, they cannot really take each other. Also, there's one thing I would like to talk about very quickly here. I don't know how easy it is to see. Maybe it's easier if I go in here. And maybe even if I move it around a bit. You may notice that the rear axle isn't exactly, or the rear wheels aren't exactly touching the ground here. This is by design. I tried implementing a new thing here. And that's like a pseudo lift axle. I just changed the entire setup, so it may not be exactly where I need it to be right now. But the basic idea is this. For some trucks, especially like the Limousine Semi, there are two cases in which you run it. Mostly it's going to be off-road. And it's going to be a big difference if you run it off-road empty or loaded. If you want to run it, or if you have to run it empty, you kinda need a soft suspension setup, so that the entire thing just doesn't bounce all over the place all the time. Which, yeah, I had a really hard setup from the get-go when the Limousines got introduced. And that really looked awful in the footage, and it was actually awful to drive. Because it just didn't have any suspension give, and instead you would just skip over the bumps like a flat stone over the surface of water. So you really didn't have the grip, and it wasn't feeling nicely, and it was really just awful, really. But yeah, that was one of the problems. The thing is, with heavy loads like this one, this is 30 tons of planks over here. You need heavy suspension. But once again, most of the times you are going to be partially running empty, partially running loaded. So there is no real middle ground here. Middle ground is just going to suck slightly less than the worst option, but in both cases, so yeah, good luck with that. I'm going to switch over to 6L lock right away. So what can you do? Well, what I did was lift up the rear axle and completely change the setup with how stiff they are. The axle that's always on the ground is comparatively soft. I think I have it at 200% right now, so that's actually not too hard, all things considered. Maybe I should go with something even lighter, like 150%. But yeah, that's an okay thing to do here. Oh, Jesus Christ. The thing is, if I fully step on the gas, it's going to lift up the front, so steering is a bit of a problem. Also trying to not tip over is a bit of a problem as well, and yeah, no. That wasn't going to happen. Did I already mention that I expect this to be a very long episode? Yeah, you can see that the front is barely hanging in there. I might have to revise the entire thing a bit more in order to make that a bit better. Maybe I should make it a mid-lift. But anyways, the basic idea is the one axle that's always lowered is going to be the softer one for running empty. But once you put some weight on, that one is going to get depressed quite a lot. And at that point the rear axle is going to touch the ground, and That one is set up to 500% springs right now, so that's exactly what I need in order to make all of this work, and I think I might be getting in the way of the guy coming towards me. I'll try to scoot over a little bit. Might need the winch right now. Yeah, he can get past, so that's nice. That guy must be thinking another crazy delivery from me once more. I'm kinda known to do these things every now and again. I kinda enjoy these super heavy deliveries. They are different. Also, they are optional, so I don't need to do them all the time. I've kinda gotten a bit bored by the whole grindiness of the current update. Maybe we will talk about that a bit more later. But yeah, so the axle that can come down a bit later, that's lifted up by default, has really stiff springs, so that's going to give me the heavy support that I need once the load is on, and that's really amazing. The thing that's a bit annoying about this is that, yeah, due to the middle axle now giving in much more easily, the rear axle is going to take the brunt of that whole setup right now. But theoretically, if the middle axle goes in a bit further than the rear axle, that should also mean that I'm potentially getting a bit more weight on the front axle. But yeah, that's been a real pain to deal with, because sometimes the front just lifts up and then of course you can't steer anymore, and usually the whole thing starts going sideways at that point. But yeah, here we go. And that's exactly what I mean. And that's why I need the winch so often, just to... It's not even always about pulling myself up, but keeping the whole thing straight, because otherwise it's just going in weird directions. But yeah, I expect there to be much more use of the rear axle now than the middle one. Front wheels are sometimes more for show, as we can see on the hill right here. Don't know what I can do about that. I think I already got the front extended as far as I can, so that should be alright. Trying to keep that on the ground. But yeah. No such luck right here. But maybe it's time to talk a bit more about the update as a whole as it landed right now. That whole thing spent a long time in private testing and a comparatively short time in public testing, so yeah, I don't know, I got feelings about it. I mean, first up, the new attachment system for lights and all of that, amazing. Like, that's just so good, the stuff that we can do now, and being able to do it reliably. I mean, there is a small bug with this, but that doesn't even come up all the time. Sometimes rotation and position can be slightly off, but I don't know what triggers it. And Mr. Hwang hasn't been able to recreate that bug, so yeah, that's a bit sad. I hope that can get fixed at some point, but overall, the attachment system as a whole, amazing improvement for the game. Everything regarding the steel mill, however, I mean, I like the addition as a whole, and also the promise of potentially expanding the entire production chain, so that after the steel mill will deliver the stuff to other locations and go from there. That's all pretty nice and good and all, but honestly, I really don't like how grindy everything is. I moved over to just running AI tasks for the most part, both in my single player world and over here. Doing the stuff myself, while I like getting some loads from the mine every now and again, the amount of deliveries you need to make in order to produce anything, it's just way too high. And it sucks even doubly because at the end of the day, you need the coils in order to make use of the new forklift. And that thing is just so amazing. And you barely get to use it. I mean, I get that they would be putting in the stuff for the new of a forklift for the new item, since that's an obvious one to try and load this way, and especially with how heavy it is. But yeah, coils as a heavy cargo are amazing. The forklift is amazing. Having to load the stuff manually feels good, but it's such a prohibitive content that's just gated off by the immense amount of grind you need in order to get a decent amount of coils. A single coil isn't really going to do much, and from what I showed you guys a few episodes ago, basically you need like 5 or 6 for a good load. And even then it doesn't pay all that amazingly, I would say. But it's kinda okay. Okay, trying to pull up here. Yeah, it's really wanting to put down the front wheels. But once they get going, it's usually a bit better about that. For a moment I thought I had autopilot engaged because I was steering to the right as far as I could, but the whole thing wasn't really going there. But yeah, once again, I like this kind of pain, otherwise I wouldn't be doing this. Like, nobody required me to jump in this truck today and make this delivery happen. But yeah, just the amount of deliveries we need to do for the steel mill, both in terms of iron ore and especially the coal, it's a bit too much. And what makes it a bit worse, in my opinion, or actually a lot worse, is that both of the mines are on the same hill using the same road. For the most part, unless you get a really light load on the iron ore and using the Limousin semi, the coal is going to be much easier even in the Atlas dump, which is also an amazing addition to the game. But just going through all the same roads all the time with both of these things, and in order to get a single coil you need to do at least 2 deliveries each. I mean, yeah, with the iron ore, depending on how much you already got in there, you can potentially get away with less. At least if you are able to use the Atlas dump for that. I would usually take the Limousin because the Atlas, at least if you're fully loaded, it's just... it's not amazing. Not really able to do it on its own all the time. But yeah, if they maybe just kept the iron mine up there instead of the coal mine and put that one somewhere else, as I mentioned a few times, that would be a way better thing now. Just so that if you go for one resource, you get one experience. If you go for another resource, there's a whole another experience combined with that. But yeah, overall, having the heavy iron ore up there just basically getting back the same kind of deliveries that we used to do before the density was added and trailer capacity was reduced, so that the coal loads went from 15 tons to 6 tons. Getting that old kind of experience back. I can't talk today. It's nice. I like it. But I don't want to do it all the time. Also, another thing, Jesus, no. Another big thing for me is the density variety in iron ore. Basically it starts somewhere around 1.6 tons and goes up to about twice as much at least. I don't know what the actual limits are, but it's somewhere around that range, and that means you don't really know when you go there which vehicle will even be able to pull that thing. And even with any vehicle, how it's going to turn out. Maybe I'm not even in the mood for such a heavy load at some point. And I wish there was more stuff that we could do there. Like have the stuff pre-sorted by densities and allow us to choose from different ranges, like have a low density range, have a mid density range, and then a high one. And just go from there. And also then of course, not only would the payout be better for the heavier stuff, which already is a thing, but I would really appreciate if we got more usable iron ore out of it once we bring it over. Because right now that isn't really a thing. 10 kiloliters of iron ore are 10 kiloliters of iron ore. Doesn't matter if it was a 17-ton load or a 30-ton load. And that's just kinda weird in my opinion. But yeah, at that point, if they did that, it would actually be a good idea for once to use the Gemusi dump, even. If you take the heavy load and that translates to maybe twice as much as the light load, then that would be a highly efficient way of handling things, without making anything not viable. Okay. I think that's the same guy as the last time. Oh god. I'm going way off road here. So what's happening here? Let me just double check. Yeah, people just put camper up there now that we have the parking lot up at the mine. I mean the parking space there, and they are just spawning in up there, getting their dump truck out and loading up the whole thing to carry it down, so they don't have to do a return trip, which honestly, with how much coal you need right now, I'm glad that they changed it. When coal was more of a commodity item or whatever, just a way to make money and didn't have any supply chain attached to it, it made sense getting people to run up at least the last hill. But with how much you need right now, I'm glad that we went past that. But yeah, I still wish we got the stuff rebalanced a little bit. And to be clear, when it comes to the weight of all the things, it doesn't even really work out right now, unless the iron ore is really impure. Because basically, from what I remember, the lower range for the iron ore density is 1.6 ton per kiloliter. And you will have to deliver 20 kiloliters for one coil to be produced, meaning that you are actually delivering 32 tons of material. Because 1.6 tons per kiloliter times 20 kiloliter is 32 tons. That's at the low range. At the high range it would be more like 64 tons because it's the density range goes up to twice as much. And that's all for a 14-ton coil. Realistically, it kinda makes sense. Because iron is supposed to be much denser. That's more like... I would have to see, but... I would have to double check, but it should be more in the range of about 7 to 8 kilo per liter, or 7 to 8 tons per cubic meter or kiloliter, whatever. So that's a lot more than twice as much, even on the heavy density range. Twice as much on the heavy density range, 4 times as much on the low density range. So that can happen by there either being a lot of impurities, like lighter rocks being part of the mixture, but also the whole thing being coarse and there being a lot of air gaps. So it makes sense that it's not... it's really not that dense and all of that. But then again, once we put in the density and the weight, we should be seeing different things happening. But yeah, it makes sense that that a single kiloliter translate to much less material than you would otherwise get just purely on the density of the material. Because the density from iron that I've been referencing, that's basically imagining the bed being filled by a solid block. No air gaps, no space anywhere, nothing. Really, I don't need the winch here. I just need a way to stay straight on the whole thing. And yeah, we've almost done the easier part of the journey, by the way. We are at the intersection. Come on, turn right. Okay, now I think the... Oh no, the winch isn't even helping anymore. But yeah, I think for the sake of the game it would make much more sense to cut down the stuff. I still think for consistency we should be delivering more iron ore than what we... or about as much as we need there. So for the low density range that would mean cutting it down by 50%. So it would be 10 kiloliters of iron ore for one coil. And that could also cut down the amount of coal required, because basically the coal is only used to smelt down the iron, and therefore for the proper mixture to get steel you don't need that much. But yeah, that would make sense, especially in terms of gameplay right now. Because in my opinion, it's just way too much otherwise. And honestly, at this point, and I should have maybe mentioned it earlier, but that's kinda something that I needed to lead into. I feel like for the most part I'm kinda done with the update. I wish I could just play around with the forklift a bit more, enjoy the coils and the much more heavy duty transportation we can get through them. But putting everything behind that wall of grind, I'm not really about that. I'll still occasionally let the game run AFK. I don't know why there's a cone here. I'll still let my NPC drivers fill up with stuff, but for the most part, maybe I'll come up with another idea on what to do with the stuff, but I could imagine it just staying there until we get another update. Or maybe if it actually does fill up eventually, I might do another delivery, because once again, the deliveries are fun, the deliveries are new, but I don't want to just spend the next 10-20 hours hauling coal and iron ore to the place. Okay, the thing right now is that really, even with my truck being engaged, just giving it the beans in first gear in 6 low lock and using the winch, I cannot pull this up. It just doesn't happen. Once the winch stops winching, once it starts cutting out, that's basically me not making any more progress. So, however, I mentioned that I did these jobs before. So how do I get up there? Well, the winch cable is partially elastic, so if I let it roll down a bit, it's basically acting like me engaging a slingshot right now. I'm pulling it back, and I just let go of the brake. Did you see which direction I was moving? Basically what I need to do now is this. I pull back, I let the cable strength do its thing for me, and then I let it catapult me forward. And I therefore get a bit more of the winch pulled in, because it's going to get me a bit further than I was before. And this is how I climb the hill. Every bit that I get the winch in, I can get a bit further through that. Let me just answer that. Sorry. The thing is, I'm not in the corporation. I like using my own company. Yeah, I think there are corp admins. I don't know if I can just assign him to a corp role. But yeah, that's something that other people can definitely do once they are on the server. Okay, honestly, whatever I'm doing to my truck, it's actually working, because this used to be way harder the first times around. Like, I was basically fighting the whole thing with the winch rocking back and forth, getting the cable tension from somewhere down here all the way to the very top. Anyways, let's grab the hook and put it in a bit further, because we are not all the way up yet. But yeah, this is now working much more in a regular sense. So that definitely speaks to me having improved my setup for both the truck and trailer. Also, on this thing, the stupid landing gear, massive problem. I wish we could maybe fold it up or something, because that thing has been... I mean, it's pretty good right now, because I raised the back of the truck by 10 centimeters even. But yeah, that thing used to just bottom out and stand on the ground and prevent me from going any further. So yeah, I raised the back of the truck a little bit overall. I got the fake lift axle going and all of that, so we are pretty good right now. I also slightly lowered the back of the Olbe because for some reason that even by default goes up really high. The other trailers feel more like they fit with the Jimusi, but this one feels a bit higher for some reason. I don't know, I would maybe have to put them side by side to confirm that, but there's definitely a downwards angle if you look at it on even ground. And right now the back of the Jimusi is definitely lifted while the rest is while the trailer itself is lowered a bit. I don't know what Kinga is talking about, but if I remember correctly, that dude is also another regular who might be in the company already. Oh, and we're actually getting another visit from the other guy doing the coal runs again soon. Again, some people are running this stuff all the time and it still doesn't really feel like it's filling up. As long as they are happy doing that, I'm happy for them. But personally, I'm getting kinda bored by it. I'm a bit burned out by the whole thing at this point. And yeah, I wish it was a bit less of a grind. So yeah, let's see. Now, this is one of the slightly more intense hills, even though it doesn't really look like much. But once again, theoretically I could potentially even go somewhere without winching too much. But with this amount of power that I need to put down, the thing just doesn't want to stay straight, so I have to do something about it. Oh, I think we're already over the whole thing, so... Okay, let's try gently. Apply the brakes, apply the acceleration, because otherwise we'll be rolling downhill. Then again, shouldn't be too much of a detriment. Yeah, let's just get it going and hope that it can realign itself. Use the side of a mountain if needed. There should be enough space for the other guy. He may be helping me, but felt like the truck was coming down now. Ah. That's also a way to do it. Yeah, this is definitely making things a bit easier. And yeah, by the time I'm getting up to the mine, he will likely have done another 1 or 2 deliveries. I don't even know where he's going. He might be taking the shortcut. He might be just delivering it to the storage facility. which is also a good tactic because then you can use a company vehicle, even though that's going to take a huge detour. Oh yeah, another factor to this entire thing, I really wish they put in the roads between this area and the steel mill. There are definitely some prepared areas that basically already have everything in place apart from the actual road. And we have been seeing some of those. They have been used as shortcut by the community. And I think it should just be... This is a really bad angle of approach. I think it would be better if it was just the stuff paved, even if it was a bit temporary at this point. But yeah, if you're doing it the legit way, most likely you're gonna have to go through Baiyang, which is a stupidly long detour. Let's just get the winch out. I think this hill should be doable, but not if I'm going on over it sideways. Was going a tiny bit too far away from the winch beforehand, so it disappeared again. But yeah, even going through the Guangjin shortcut, I mean, I could then go up the road and towards the regular road again, but at that point, why not just take the stroll across the meadows? Feels a bit more, feels a bit better then. But yeah, I would really like for the road to be in place by now, so that would also change the payout a bit, because that would give the algorithm a new road to calculate with, and yeah, shorter distance means lower payout. Jesus Christ, there's this one really awkward little bump in the road that I need to get over. And for some reason, if I click twice, the whole thing is just going to disappear here. But I need the winch cable right now. So yeah, the problem right now is really this little bump here. Once I'm over that, I might be good. Yeah, still not fully over that. See, the whole thing can pull its weight. Just a bit awkward at this point. I wish we had an option to upgrade the winch to be faster. Then again, that would likely be an option for a lower tonnage winch, and yeah, what to do with that. Would be nice for regular cars or something, but for this one it's always going to be the medium duty winch. Yeah, we are definitely going to cut down the tree here, because that's apparently where the truck wants to go. And now we are stuck on the tree. Thankfully it spawned right away. But yeah, I feel like overall, to summarize my feelings on the update, I think there is a lot of good stuff in place here. A lot of good additions overall. But what's really killing it for me is the balancing. That's kind of what it comes down to. I'm trying to hold right here to get the thing back upright while reversing. Now I'm trying to go left, but for some reasons this thing just really doesn't want to go the direction. And honestly, I feel like I'm doing a worse job here overall than in the past attempts without recording. Because I remember one time where I just got past somebody over here. They ran into the mud and I got up the hill without a hitch. Maybe it has to do with my changed setup over here. Maybe it's really better in one place, but not overall. I'll have to see about that. The thing is walking back and forth like a ship during a storm here. This is really not reassuring. I don't want to capsize this thing anymore. But yeah, this is, in my mind, very reminiscent of that one episode where I tried getting a full-size trailer into Guangjin back when the area was freshly introduced and I didn't know any better. And yeah, I made this whole follow-up episode, which I don't know if it was even really published or only put into the playlist as unlisted. But yeah, it was basically just a continuation of unsuccessful attempt. Couldn't really get past one of the hurdles, but it was a massive off-roading adventure. This one I know I can finish because once again I've done this before. It's just a question in how long is it gonna take and how much pain will it be. I mean, I hate when they start spitting out like that. It's looking rather deadly. The one thing that I'm a bit afraid right now is the Mud Hill. Matilda, I like to call her. But apart from that, I mean, there is another little not so little incline once we get to the iron mine, but everything else should be okay. Oh yeah, there's also this one. Can't you play nicely for once? I'm just desperately trying to make the truck go where I want it to. I mean, it's still rolling. We don't need a winch. Okay, I think now we need one. And I should have engaged the brake. Oh god. Yeah, that was foreseeable at that point. Let's see, where is the thingy-majig here to get it upright again? Oh, it's on the other side. Company, tow to Nearest Road, not tow to the garage. That would be... I could even put it up ahead, but that would be cheating at this point. That's not too bad. I mean, there is a speedrun tactic for these things where you load up the coal and then look at the roadside service points, because there is usually one that is at the other end of the pond. So basically skipping the two bridges and going up to the iron mine, plus the potentially even the whole mud area. I need to go into 4 low. But yeah, I'm not really about speedrunning here if you didn't notice yet. If you wanna do this quicker, get a matey. That's another medium duty engine, but also a rigid truck. So that's a 6x4 truck instead of a 6x4 semi-truck, which means that the majority of the weight is going to be on the driven wheels, and that should just do the trick much nicer than this one. It's also only going to allow you to load 3 planks, but 2 deliveries using 3 planks at a time should be more money than 1 delivery using 6, and they are going to be quicker. That truck doesn't have a winch, but I doubt it would need one. You can clearly see when the tractor is finally able to overcome the obstacle, even if it was only for a short time. Come on. Oh, I'm an idiot. I didn't go back to 6 low lock, so of course the whole thing is going to have a bit more of a problem going up here. Who would have thought that they actually need to use this stuff off-road with heavy loads? And I was wondering for a moment, is that one wheel spinning faster than the other? Yeah, of course it is, because the diff lock wasn't engaged, you idiot. But yeah. Over an hour now. Usually I go for like 30-minute episodes or something. I knew this would be a long one. I didn't mind it. For once I want to do something like this and do it as a one-parter. Even if it's gonna be a longer episode. It happens sometimes. Maybe I should have skipped the house tour. That would have been a good time management. Yeah, the rain isn't really helping here. At this point I'm really just winching for direction, not for the added power. Because power-wise we're looking good here. So if anybody knows how to tune this thing, I should have maybe asked that much earlier. Let me know. I kind of want to keep my rear axle setup that I have. If I can avoid switching that out, I feel like I'm pulling myself sideways right now. It would be nice if I had the front wheels on the ground a bit more thoroughly or firmly. Okay, now we are going the direction we want to. Also potential hazard of laying the entire thing back on its side again. But yeah, let's just go for a few meters. I'm waiting for the other guy's name to pop back up at the mine. Also, after noticing that the one video that I made recently, the post-race commentary, even on my new PC it didn't run fully smooth. I'm now having the task manager open on the side. I don't know if I can take a look at what the graphics card is doing right now, unless I pull up the other thing here. What it's called again? The AMD software. Something Adrenaline. But yeah, overall it should be going well. I don't know. I remember switching over to CPU encoding to make the whole thing a bit more crisp, and my CPU right now is at less than 30% usage, so... Oh yeah, there's also this still, I forgot about that one. But yeah, the CPU... Phew! The CPU should be fine. GPU shouldn't even be all that much, shouldn't even have all that much of a load anymore, so that should be okay. And it shouldn't even be doing the video rendering to begin with. I may have to take another look at that though. With me being on the other PC for 2 months, I don't remember if I changed my setting on the software there. And I know for a fact that Streamlabs transfers the settings from one PC to the other. Sometimes to my delight, because that helps me actually having... if the thing breaks down again and maybe I had a picture on here, like... I don't know, something on the screen, I will still have it on the other one because that's taken over. But if I make any performance settings so that the old PC doesn't blow up, then I will have the same thing on this one, and that would be potentially weird because this PC is able to do more things, like blowing up for a longer amount of time. Here we go, slowly making our way up. Okay, I think we need to extend this a bit further. Overall, I get that people don't want to do winching on the regular doing these jobs, but I don't know, I find it a nice change of pace. There are a lot of deliveries right now where I also just engage the autopilot for stretches. And I don't really like that, I prefer playing the game, but some of the stuff is maybe a bit dull. I like that it's relaxing and all of that, but I also like that we have these kind of jobs that actually engage you. But I think that's also another good point to adding different density ranges for the iron ore. Because then people who don't want it to be this involved, they still have the option to do that reliably. It's basically choose your own difficulty. But harder difficulty, of course, also needs to be rewarded. There we go. And yeah, that fence is indestructible, so there isn't really much of a way to just skip the rest of the route here. But at least we were able to see the mine once. And we'll get back there from the other direction. Sooner or later. Oh, this is actually going well. I didn't expect to go this far up the hill, but this is really working out quite nicely. So let's take the winch controller and winch it like it's hot. Should maybe also go into lower gear. Oh, the thing is almost pulling itself out. Also, I don't know how noticeable it is, but for winching I need to hit the left bumper and winching in D-pad down. Holding the left bumper means that I cannot do anything with my camera, so as long as I'm winching, I'm stuck in the same camera angle. So if that feels a bit stiff and with me just being holding the shot for a while, that's exactly why. And it's something that basically I suggested. Not really to this extent, but the thing is, I suggested the current controls for the forklift being holding left bumper and pulling the right stick up, down, left, right, depending on what you want to do there. And I suggested that in order to make that work, the camera option, camera movement on the right stick should be disabled during that time. Because otherwise it's really disorientating. But yeah, ideally that would only happen with vehicles that actually have controls there. Which right now for my whole thing is really only the forklift and nothing else. But yeah, as it is, it's just on every vehicle, which is kind of annoying. But really only a little bit, I would say. It's not not a total deal breaker, but Jesus Christ, I'm really not getting up there. Yeah, and once more, this should be too steep for fuck. It's really not even about getting up there, it's just how much the stupid truck is wiggling back and forth. Okay, let's see where we end up. Okay, that's before the before it goes down there. Don't want to put it on the mudslide, but I also didn't want to put it in reverse. Okay, everything here disconnected, so let's go. I hope I don't forget to engage the diff lock again. Time will tell. Might also finally turn off the lights again. It's actually about to get dark again. What well. Really tough to see what it's even getting stuck on. But yeah, there is a tiny bump there. And I should be able to just bypass it by going in sideways. I guess maybe the entire thing there is on a slight bump. I mean, if bad comes to worse, I'll need to pull the trailer up a little bit. I'm trying to engage the kingpin, but it's really not working. I mean, maybe if I just... that might have done the trick already. Nope. Oh yeah, now we are connected. Better cut out the winch cable. I don't wanna see what physics does with this constellation. But yeah, the thing is, the fifth wheel is between the two rear axles of my truck. With the front, one of the two axles being softer and giving in much more, that should theoretically put more weight on the front axis here. Again, despite how steep the hill is, it feels like the truck itself can almost pull up here. But I don't want to risk the whole thing going sideways again like a few minutes ago. Man, this is really getting to the length of a feature movie. Also, one thing that I'm happy about right now is that the update is out. Because at the end of the day, the server wasn't on this version until it became publicly fully available. Not even on the testing branch. And just going back and forth between the updated version and 0711, it got a bit old. Needed to do a backup. Honestly, the backup I needed to do was when I rolled back the whole thing, because otherwise the steel mill would be empty. But it got a bit boring at some point. Then again, I think that might also be a factor on why people are running coal and iron ore so much here. Because if they only play on the server, they had access to this only for about a week now. I've been playing with this for a while longer, and therefore, yeah. At some point it gets old, especially if you do all of it yourself. And yeah, the thing is, as soon as I get to 2 or 3 kilometers per hour consistently, that's really not the winch doing it anymore, that's the vehicle on its own. So theoretically, I don't need the winch, I just need the ability to keep the truck straight. And that's not happening if it's bouncing up like that. Because then it has the tendency to go anywhere but where I wanted it to. Now it's working. Yeah, I'm not fully sure what does this. The thing that realistically could be doing it is if for some reason there was much more weight on the middle axle and it would be teeter-tottering around it. But since that should be the axle that gives in first, that shouldn't be happening. I don't know. Anyways, we are almost done here and it's getting night again. But yeah, I want to show you guys this kind of delivery, which right now for me is about one of the most difficult ones that I've done so far. Then again, I don't really have any tunes for using my Atlas dump with iron ore. The way I have tuned it definitely doesn't work too well with that, so yeah. I heard from one of you guys in the comments that apparently those kinda runs can be done, but I don't know. This one still feels possible within my means, even if, yeah, it's gonna be a long journey. And once again, I already told you guys how much this is going to pay. So you know it isn't worth it. But it's possible, it's a nice little challenge, and it's definitely going to keep you engaged, unlike some of the long desert to Jeju tours. Also, my truck is almost empty. But here we are, finally. Hard-earned 62k. Not even having any town bonus because nobody's running this stuff right now. That's usually what I do with my company. If I'm not working towards getting the steel mill or any other factory filled up. But yeah, that's gonna be it from me for this episode. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. I know some people like this kind of stuff, and this is especially for you, so yeah. Until next time, have a good one, and bye bye.